Hey everybody, this is Nick from Team Extra, bringing you a dueling replay on Dueling Book. I'm testing out branded Chimera here, and my opponent is playing Flu and playing the Wise Guys TCG. I end up winning the rock paper scissors here, and then choose to go first. Opening hand is pretty good. I have a combo, and then 3 going second cards basically. Here, I normal summon the Swords Knight and use the effect. Their Imperm would have probably stopped my whole play had I not drawn Book to dodge it. But if they drew Ash, I was probably pretty cooked at that point. But Joel would have gone hard on their turn, and so I would have probably been fine anyways. But so I use the effect of Sword Knight, special summon the Berfommet. Berfommet, I'll search out the Gazelle and Chimera Fusion. They obviously try to chain Imperm to my Berfommet, I just book it. So I dodge the Imperm and search out the Gazelle and Chimera Fusion. Then I use Chimera Fusion, send the Berfommet and the Gazelle to bring out the King. Gazelle 1, Berfommet 2, target Swords Knight, and then King 3 to rip at the end phase. I'll bring out the Swords Knight, search out Kodal, and then Chimera Fusion, I'll add that back to hand and just set it. So I'll set Book of Moon and I'll set the Chimera Fusion. And I end up ripping one of their Pot of Dualities. They obviously had a second one. Their draw phase, they draw Apex Avian. So not the best draw for them in this situation. They try to move to standby. I say draw phase so I can activate Swords Knight. Then I bring out Berfommet. Berfommet will add Chimera Fusion and Gazelle again. They go main phase, use Duality, and grab the map. And then I just drop Droll here, and they scoop because Flu can't do anything under Droll for the most part. Here, my opening hand going second, especially against Flu, isn't that good. Especially because they just drop Shifter. So that's going to be really bad for me because I'm not going to be able to get follow-up. I'm not going to be able to search off my Edge and Chain. And so, in general, it's just not a super good position for me. And obviously, in their hand, they have Harpy's Featherstorm, which is, basically just going to skip my turn. So here they go, Robina bring out Eglin. Eglin search Empen. Super common Flu stuff that Flu has been doing since the deck came out. But then they just set Featherstorm, set Dreaming Town, and pass. Main phase, I try to go Brightness Fusion. They chain the Ash Blossom, and I just scoop. There's nothing I'm going to do there. Just be delaying the inevitable, essentially. And then here, it's a little more interesting because we both brick. I brick pretty hard. I draw 3 spells, 2 hand traps, and one of my spells at least is pretty good, right? Cosmic is nice going into the Flu because you can hit the field spell. But they don't draw a starter for the most part either. They could have searched out, or we'll get into it, but they didn't draw the best either, essentially. And so they go standby, search with the Advent. Not sure why they did that in the standby. If they were trying to play around Joel, then they should have just done it in the draw phase, but they elected to do it in the standby phase for whatever reason. But they search out map. And so here I was thinking, do I drop Droll now or do I wait? And so I ended up holding it because my thinking was that if they're going Advent to send the Avian as cost and then searching out map, that they probably opened a bird that's not Robina, essentially. And so they were trying to get there. So that was sort of my thinking. And so I didn't drop Joel because what I wanted to do was just Cosmic the field spell and then Ash the first little bird. And I was thinking that would probably be enough based on sort of what they just did here. And so they get their 500 and then move to the main phase. Here they activate map. I just banish it. And then they use Prosperity. And then again here, I'm thinking, do I just wait for a little bird or do I Ash the Prosperity? And I chose to Ash the Prosperity. Again, because I was pretty confident that they didn't have a Robina in hand. I was pretty certain that they had a either an Eglin or a Toucan or a Street. And obviously in this case, they had an Eglin. and so I just left it to Ash the Prosp. They pass, I draw Super Poly, set the Super Poly, pass, they draw evenly, pass. I drew Chimera Fusion, and then they drew a second M-Pen. Here they go Eglin, and I actually droll the Eglin on resolution. In hindsight, I maybe shouldn't have done this. It seemed like it, in hindsight, right, it seems like an obvious bait. Like, why would they summon Eglin and not any other little bird if they had one? But, I fell for it and dropped the droll, and so, sort of got punished for it. But then they go battle phase, poke for 800, I go draw phase, draw called by, which is obviously not really good to see. And then they draw duality and they hit, another little bird finally. And so they go Stree. Stree will banish their Advent, and then they'll tribute summon for the M-Pen. They'll add back the Eglin, and then their M-Pen will search out map. Activate map, they will banish Robina, and then Eglin. Eglin 1, Robina 2. Then they normal summon Robina, and here my opponent misplays pretty hard. So I thought that they would try to set up the Ryza. And so one, they actually forgot to search off the Eglin. Oh no, they didn't. Wait. No, I think they did forget to search off the Eglin. But here they don't summon off of the Robina. So what I thought they were going to do was go Toucan, add back like the Advent or something like that, and then maybe go like Ryza. And so I was holding my Super Poly for Ryza, but here they actually just go battle phase. And so they try to declare an attack with the M-Pen, and I just flip Super Poly, send the other Super Poly as cost. And then I use the Eglin and the M-Pen to make Rura. They try to banish the M-Pen for some reason. I just put that back in the grave. And then they try to go main 2, normal Toucan. So I think that's where they messed up, is they thought that they had their normal summon for turn, which they obviously didn't because they used that on Street. And so I tell them that, they take it back, and then they pass. And so here I draw Albaz. And I'm kind of like, oh my god, that sucks, because I was really hoping to see like a Branded Fusion, or like a Swords Knight or something, or a Cornfield. But so I just go main phase, Harpies away the field spell, and then I I just regular poly the Garura and the Albaz for Dragostapelia. Use my draw off of Garura, and I finally hit a starter. And so here I was really just hoping that they would only have one hand trap, because I could play through one hand trap, but I couldn't play through two, because I had the called by. So if they had Droll or if they had Ash Blossom, I can play through one of those, but not the other. And so I was just hoping that when I searched Cornfield, or when I drew, they wouldn't drop Droll, and so they don't. And here I go Cornfield. They just Ash it, and then I just called by the Ash. They try to like bait or something, saying think. But I'm like, if they have the bell, they have the bell. They're just better than me. But they didn't. They didn't have anything that would let Ash dodge the called by. So I wasn't too sure what they were doing. But so obviously called by goes through, negating the Ash, and then I search out the Mirror Swords Knight. Normal the Mirror Swords Knight, and then bring out Baphomet. Baphomet will search out Gazelle and Chimera Fusion. And then I will use the Baphomet and the Gazelle to make King, bring out the Mirror Swords Knight, and then search Cornfield. I'll add back the Chimera Fusion. And then here, I'm pretty confident that I win, because no matter what they have, I have a target negate, and I have a regular negate with the Swords Knight, because I have Cornfield and Grave. And so if they had something like a Effect Veiler or something, I can just dodge it with the Cornfield, or I can negate it with the Cornfield. And then if they had like Nib, I could just negate it with Swords Knight. So I wasn't really stressing at this point. I figured that I probably just had game, because I just go Chimera Fusion with all those three, and I make the Illusion Beast, try to enter battle phase. They think for a little bit, and then they just scoop, because I'm pretty sure they just realized that I'm just going to game them. I'm just going to OTK, because this is going to be 2,500 into the Robina. At the end of damage, this will trigger, reduce their attack to 0. And then I'll just go battle, and hit for the remaining amount. and then they're just done from there. They just lose. But yeah, that was an interesting game. Came back breaking pretty hard to win thanks to Super Poly and some misplays from my opponent. But hopefully everybody enjoyed that and has a nice day.